There's no denying it. I have a lot of animals. So let's address the elephant in the room. This is going to be a sort of serious discussion because this is a serious problem in the hobby for very few people. So we'll get it out of the way. What is hoarding? Well, I wrote it down to make sure I got the definition right. Hoarding, to amass money or valued objects and hide or... I can't read my own writing. Hoarding is to amass money or valued objects and hide or store them away. Well, I'm not really doing those things. To get it out of the way, I would not consider what I do or most reptile YouTubers do or zoo owners or breeders to be hoarding. And the reason is I'm not storing these things away for my own vanity. The reason I created this channel in the first place is to teach about reptiles, what I know, and in turn, learn more. That's why the slogan for this entire channel is let's learn about reptiles together. This is for the love of reptiles and for the good of reptiles, and I think we're accomplishing that. So if this isn't reptile hoarding, what is? Well, if you are amassing so many reptiles that you cannot take care of them, in my opinion, that is hoarding. Now, the reason that I can keep so many of these reptiles, and we're going to do a reptile room soon, so I don't want to put a number on it because it's kind of crazy, and I want you to hit like if you want to see a reptile room tour. You want to see everything in this room? Here's the difference between me and some guy in his basement who you've never heard of. That guy isn't doing it for a living, probably. And I'm not saying that you need to. I'm just saying if you had this amount of animals and a day job, it might be tough. But the nice thing is, this is my day job. I talk to this camera, you guys, for a living, and I love it. I am the luckiest guy in the entire world. That would never change a thing. Now, it does come with a lot of work. There are a lot of days during the week where I am cleaning the facility. I'm cleaning these enclosures for literally hours. But to me, that's okay. I don't mind that. And I have the time to do it. That is the big difference. You see these shows. There was a show called Hoarders. There's the little segments on Animal Planet of people who have rodents to the point where all you can smell in the house is rodents. When people walk into this facility, they don't even know that there's reptiles here because it doesn't smell like reptiles. It smells fresh. When you walk into this reptile room, it smells like brand new coconut core. I love that smell. It smells organic, smells beautiful. So if you're watching this and thinking, my friend, or maybe you're thinking, what about me? You're not kind of on the fence? Do you have so many animals that it's taking over your life and you can't take care of them properly? One of the major signs is that you feel stressed out rather than rejuvenated when you go down to your reptile room. When I come down here and I look at these animals, when I service them, when I clean them, when I feed them, I'm happy. I feel love and passion. I don't feel burden. If you feel burden, I think it's maybe time to dial back your collection, and we'll go over how to do that in just a sec. Another major sign are animals dying. Now, in my collection, we have had deaths, right? I remember talking about Zapdos. That one broke my heart. A banana ball python that I absolutely loved, and just out of the blue, died. But since starting the channel, that's the only adult animal that I've had that died. And sometimes animals do get sick and die. Here, I'll pull one more thing. Do you want to see a whole video about what to do when your reptile gets sick and dies? Because I've got a really good idea. Just let me know in the comment section. Regardless, it happens. Animals get sick and die, just like humans. Sometimes humans go in for routine testing and then they never leave the hospital because, by the way, you've got XYZ, cancer, whatever it is. And with reptiles, they don't usually show weakness. When reptiles get sick, a lot of the times you don't even know until you inspect them after they've already passed. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is if you or your friend or whoever has a collection and animals constantly disappear, animals are constantly dying, they're probably hoarding. And how does this even happen? How does someone go from an animal lover to a hoarder? And we've seen this before where people just lose their way. They start with the best intentions and then it just accumulates, and it snowballs. And that is how it happens. Even the collection that I have now, when I walk into this room and I look around, sometimes I'm taken aback. Like, this is quite a few species, quite a few animals. But one thing I notice all the time is they're always well fed. They're never sick. The lights go on and off, everything. Here's one thing about this, about what I do. I will never skimp ever. If my animals need something, they will get it. I don't care what it costs. I don't care what I have to put off in order to do it. Always. The animals never take a back seat, and that is a sign that you are not hoarding, but you have, I hate the word collection. Collectively, we need to think of a better word, because as much as I love to say, like, I love this collection, it's not a group of inanimate objects, it's a group of animals. Menagerie? I don't know. Put in the comment section, so many comments this week, what do you think we should call groups of reptiles that you have instead of a collection? It's kind of like an old, outdated term. So the way that it happens, in short, is, well, one day you realize I feel stressed out, I can't afford my collection. That's another thing too, and that's a sign that you need to immediately scale back. If you are in a position where this week I can't feed my animals because I can't afford it, there is no shame. Life is hard. Things are expensive. I understand. I'm not trying to shame you at all, but that's when you need to realize, buck up and say, I need help. So either you can get funds in whatever way you can get help to do it, or you can scale back the collection. That sometimes has to happen. The important thing is to notice when it's happened or when it's happening. If you are at a point where you're running out of space, don't get more animals. Stop looking on Craigslist. Stop going to reptile expos with money. Go there just for supplies and to meet people. Make a pact with yourself that every time you go to a reptile expo or a reptile show or go on the internet, you're not bringing home a new reptile. And I keep saying reptiles because this is a reptile channel, but this is the same thing. If you got guinea pigs or ferrets or cats, or like if you got 50 cats in your house, you need to get rid of some of the cats. But that raises a really good question. How much is too much? I get this question all the time. There's no real number because it's different. I am so lucky. This reptile room is only one of 3. I have 3 rooms that are dedicated to reptiles, and it's not taking over my living space at all. And this room is about 400 square feet. 400 square feet. So I can put these enclosures beside me are 8 foot by 4 foot by 3 foot. I've got a couple of them. And I've got all these enclosures that people criticize me because I keep animals in too big of enclosures. The animals get these giant display enclosures. They're constantly watered and constantly fed. So how much is too much? There's no real way for me to answer that for you. I think it goes back to, do you feel stressed out rather than joyful when you're interacting with your animals, when you have to service your animals? And with that said, let me be very clear. There are times when, yeah, it's, late at night and I can smell that someone took a dump and all of a sudden I realize there's urates in a bunch of the enclosures because I fed on Wednesday and today's Saturday and I didn't plan to clean today, but I have to. So that does happen where it's like, I wish I could be doing something else, but at the end of the day, I never put it off, and neither should you. And by the way, I think that everyone watching this is of sound mind, and it's probably not the people that we're talking about, but it is your responsibility, in my opinion, if you have a friend or you know somebody or you see somebody who maybe is in a little over their head, offer them a little bit of help. Offer them a little bit of guidance. Bring it up. So what's the difference between hoarding or collecting? Which again, we need to find a different word. I don't like that word. It paints it in a light that it really isn't. When I'm collecting these things, I'm not putting them on a shelf. I pay attention to them every single day. And I think that's the difference, is neglect versus thriving. If you come down here and see with your own eyes, you're not gonna have any qualms about the number of reptiles in here. It's the same thing with a zoo. Obviously a zoo is way too many animals. I just got back from the Reptarium. Amazing place, video right here. I can't even say enough good things about my experience. But the reason that isn't a hoarding situation or even anything close to it is because they have a staff. Not only is Brian taking great care on his own, he's got a staff that he's hired on to take care of it. And every zoo has this. If you go to the Toronto Zoo, San Diego Zoo, Snake Discovery, whatever, all these are amazing places and they have staff to help them out. I keep my animals to a point where I don't need staff. Would I love to? Yes. Eventually I would love to have a collection that could be on display to the public rather than in a private type setting where I can only show on the internet. In that case, I would definitely need a staff, and I would never put myself into that position until I had a staff to be able to help me. And this goes back to the, are you able to afford all the animals? I mean, that's the thing, is maybe I can afford to bring someone on to help me right now. I just feel like I'm happy with the way that it is in my own personal collection right now. Not to make it all about me, but this is the only experience I have hands-on with, is my own collection. So last thing before we wrap it up is what to do. If you're in the situation or someone else is, and you've admitted it to yourself or they've admitted it to themselves, what do you do next? Well, one thing first. If you really love animals but you don't want to have them yourself, you could always watch YouTube videos, that's one thing. But if you want to say track a sea turtle or a polar bear or whatever, my friends at Follow can really help you out with this. This is not a sponsored ad. They're not paying me to say this. But I get questions all the time. Adam, what's with the bracelets? Basically, Follow will send you, when you buy a bracelet, they'll send you a card with a QR code. You scan the QR code, and if you pick a polar bear or a shark or whatever you pick, they have tracking devices and you can see where they are. I've got a sea turtle. I think it's pretty awesome. They're in Fort Myers, Florida right now. Jealous. I wish I was there. So anyway, if you have a love for reptiles but can't keep them on your own, there's things like Follow that could possibly help you out. Okay, so what to do? My opinion is to scale back or hire someone on. This is the very obvious answer, right? If you scale back, make sure you find really good homes. It's up to you. It is on you, your responsibility to make sure you're vetting these people. Don't just put it on Craigslist or Kijiji or whatever in your country the classified ad website is and say free to good home. Make sure you vet that person if you're doing that, or sell them. A lot of the times, especially if you have something that is more valuable in terms of just money, what they go for on the market, if they were from a breeder or import or whatever, make sure that that person who is taking care of this animal is a serious buyer. And not really to make money or even recoup your money, just to the point where if you have, say, a monkey tail skink, which is a pretty expensive animal to buy, don't give it away for free. Everybody's gonna line up to have it. Make sure someone is willing to actually pay attention, quiz them even on the care and, you know, how big of an enclosure, do you have an enclosure set up? You can be picky and choosy, but it's up to you to put yourself in a position where you have a manageable amount of animals. Or of course, you can just hire a staff if you have the money to do that. And this is something that you might want to consider. Maybe I don't know what it costs to pay people in your area, but let's say, I don't know, 15 bucks an hour, right? 15 or 20 bucks an hour. I don't know, wherever it's up to you. And you think, if I only had 4 more hours of manpower and it's 80 bucks a week, can you afford that? Because a lot of the times, maybe you can. Maybe you're a hobbyist breeder and that's just a drop in the bucket because you sold an animal last month worth 500 bucks and that's gonna pay for most of the year. Or a good portion of the year anyway, if you have someone to help you out. So those are your options in my opinion. Now, I don't want to drag this out. The video is already pretty long. What do you think? Do you like topics like this? Should we go head on and tackle more kind of controversial, hard to have conversations like this? Hit the like button, subscribe if you want. I really do appreciate it. It helps the channel so much. Seriously, you click a button and it changes this channel. It's crazy. The analytics are... Anyway, thank you so much to the Patreon supporters. You guys are freaking amazing. You get extra videos early. You know about, I kind of hinted at a species that I haven't talked about on the channel that I have now. That's a dream species. Anyway, all that and more on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And I think that's it. Because we do videos twice a week, that means that I'll see you on Monday.